I'm convinced, and from reading you, I believe you are too. The offseason isn't over, but I sure would feel better about this team if they added another, credible, established reliever who can strike some people out. And maybe they're waiting on a price to drop on someone. I have no idea. Or maybe they actually think with more innings from their rotation that, we're going to be fine. We got plenty of bullpen depth. I don't know. Either way, it makes me nervous because, frankly, I don't have a lot of faith in some of their judgments when it comes to pitching. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm kind of two minds about the bullpen. I do like some of the additions they've made, even though we're talking about minor league / Rule 5 type guys. I do think there's some potential in there, and I like the Kittredge addition. I think he's a nice high leverage right hand arm to put in there. But I want to see him have Liebertor in the bullpen instead of putting him in the rotation at AAA or what have you. But, yeah, it's just, but you look at their history of, high-profile relief additions on the free agent market, it's not particularly encouraging. And that's just going to be a risky endeavor no matter what team does it. It's not necessarily a Cardinals thing. So it's just I don't see a lot of great answers right now, but kind of just pinning hope that, some of these strikeout arms that they added through, less conspicuous means in free agency end up making a difference. And, it's possible.
Dayn Perry with us. You wrote a piece, your most recent piece, unless I missed one today. I haven't checked my email box for a couple hours. On Miles
today.
Michael. Huh? What's that?
Nothing today.
Okay, you wrote about Miles Mikolas a couple days ago, and I liked it because I learned some things, as always, when I read you. But to lay it out before you discuss it for us or with us, you talked about Miles Mikolas being a very key figure in the Cardinals' rotation because he did not have a good year last year. And it's just in terms of quality, not workload. He was valuable in that sense. But you pointed out he slipped in some areas, but you also found some reasons perhaps for encouragement. So just give us, if you don't mind sharing your overview of Miles Mikolas going into 2024.
Considering his performance last season, I'm worried. He's mid-30s. He's had cratering strikeout rates, and those, of course, are important indicators for future performance. And, of course, as we know, it's been a rotation-wide issue for the Cardinals, the lack of strikeouts. And, you look at those trends and look at, he's shed a bit of fastball velocity over the last couple of seasons. It's worrisome. And, I just don't know how much of a chance there is for a significant rebound on one hand. You also look at it actually wasn't bad last season at preventing homers, a little better than his career norms. That's the kind of thing that tends to find its level, so you could see a little bit of a worse performance in terms of home run prevention from Mikolas in 2024. Those are all reasons to be concerned. There are reasons for optimism as well. He's working on, or has been working on since late in the 2023 season on a refined slider, and I think that's a significant develop for him considering he's while he was in Japan, he showed a real capacity to improve his slider and to tweak it and to get the kind of different shape and movement that he wanted out of it. And I think that's the best wipeout pitch, and that's what he needs is a two-strike weapon again. So considering his proven ability to adjust and adapt and the dedication he's putting toward that refined slider, I think that's encouraging. He's also obviously not going to be pitching in the World Baseball Classic this year. I know that sounds like an excuse, but I think in Mikolas' case, how lightly he was used and how weirdly he was used in one of those appearances, and the fact that he's a command and control guy with a deep repertoire, and those guys need their routine, they need their spring repetitions, and he just didn't get them last year. And I think the fact that he will have a normal spring is cause for encouragement as well.
No, I totally agree with that. I've always find it helpful to let some perspective shape and form over a longer period of time. When John Mozeliak brought that stuff up when they got off to a bad start, I was just like, come on, man. And he was still talking about it halfway through the season. No. The date on that card, the date on that excuse card expired a long time ago. However, you're right, and you're not making excuses, nor am I. That was a waste of Mikolas's time. I listen, he went there sincerely believing that he would he would pitch for his country, and he would pitch in a meaningful role, and it'll be a great experience. And he pretty much just sat around in the bullpen waiting for something. And it was just stupid. I still don't understand what the manager or the fake manager was doing. I have no idea. Sorry about that. That was kind of a cheap shot. But
I don't know. He might have earned that one. I don't know.
Yeah, but it really did affect him for the reasons you just specified. And if I could follow up, this sweeper, slider, whatever we want to call it, that's something that really just took Sonny Gray to a higher level. Kyle Gibson has started to incorporate something like the sweeper. I think it's still a work in progress, but it explains some of the really good pitching he did. He wasn't great all the time, but some of the really good pitching he did for the Orioles last year. So when I see these success stories, I can't help but think that a guy like Mikolas, who really wants to be good, he really does.
Yeah.
I can't help but think that he can jump back because we've seen the impact of that pitch on so many other pitchers, not just in St. Louis, but all over the place.
Yeah, and he's a craftsman. You don't go to Japan for 3 years, then come back and become an all-star in MLB without having some ability to adapt and improve and even adjust to the adjustments that hitters make to you. So he has the ability to self-level up. It's just a matter of whether he can do it at the level needed and do it at age 35. So we'll see. It's one of the more interesting subplots of the season going in, I think.
Our friend Dayn Perry is with us. Please subscribe to Birdie Work. It's at Substack. You just need to Google Dayn Perry, Dayn Perry, or just Google Birdie Work. You'll see it. It'll pop up, and the subscription is low cost. And if you're a Cardinals fan, you'll really get a kick out of it. You'll love it. You'll learn things. And also, Dayn's very generous because he hosts some chats on what? I'm sorry. Tell us about the chats you host as well.
We do reader mailbags, and we also have a Slack room for Slack for paid subscribers, and it's pretty active. We got quite a few subscribers in there, many of whom are regular commenters. So it's a pretty energetic discussion, and as ever, there's always a persistent demand for Bernie to show up in there at some point. So we'll see about that maybe.
I would like to do that because you show up on my show and talk. I should go. I need to go to the. I need to go to the Birdie Work channel and talk. So I'll do that. Seriously, I owe Joe Sheehan one of those too, to say the least.
You're racking up some debts, man.
I sure am. I don't mind plugging the product though. But yeah, no. In fact, that stuff's good because at some point I'm going to branch out a little bit and do some of the things I haven't done before that, won't take up a massive amount of time. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. Dayn Perry with us. All right, your thoughts, sir, on the Cardinals bringing Matt Carpenter back?
I'm inclined to think it's pretty harmless, provided it is indeed a back of the bench role and that sort of thing. I guess my fear is that, he hits 3 home runs in the first 2 weeks, and all of a sudden he's a lineup fixture for the next month or something like that. There's just no reason to think he is going to be anything like the Matt Carpenter of yore, even taking into account that semi-recent hot stretch with the Yankees. I just don't think he's got that at this level. He's a beloved player, justifiably so. I love him myself. And as long as his role is, one of the lefty pinch hitters off the bench and sort of the philosopher king of the bench core there, I guess that's acceptable. But I think I would get nervous if he ends up with any kind of important or even semi-regular role next season, because I just don't know that the bat is still there at that level.
And one concern I have, just from a baseball standpoint, is that the underlying metrics on Alec Burleson are pretty good, really good in some aspects, although he still could hit the ball harder. But, overall, pretty positive profile.
Yeah.
He had an above-average second half. After the All-Star break, I don't know whether I used weighted runs created plus. I think I did. He was about 7 or 8% above league average. Does that make him a star? No, but it means he's getting better and he's starting to get results. Man, I would hate to see his progress stunted by, here we go again, kind of a logjam where you have a couple of guys that pretty much do the same thing. And Or maybe they can figure this out. I don't know. I'm just a little uneasy about it because I think Burleson could help them a lot. And, reading about him at STL today, he's been working his tail off this off season, losing weight and doing all kinds of things. And I'm like, geez, what? So you're going to send him back to AAA because you signed Matt Carpenter? And I might be overreacting, but I just wanted to lay that out there for you. What do you think about the Burleson factor?
That is something I've thought, and that is a legitimate concern. I'm pretty high on him, perhaps higher than I should be, just because of the contact skills in tandem with being able to hit the ball pretty hard from the left side like that. And last season I was just trying to find ways to get him more consistent playing time, and this is kind of what worries me more generally is that Marmol last season had to work with a pretty complicated roster on the position player side, just a lot of bodies and not enough spaces for them, guys who deserve playing time. And I think that, that exacted a price. Guys, especially young hitters, they need regular reps at the highest level to be able to hang in there against the best pitchers in the world. And a lot of guys just didn't get that. And, the Carpenter edition kind of introduces a complication along those lines for 2024. And it worries me with regard to Burleson, who I just want to see get regular looks at the plate as often as possible. And you've kind of hit on another secondary worry about the Carpenter edition right there.
Even the guy that they claimed on waivers from Pittsburgh, he's another guy. I forgot his name already, which is stupid because he actually hit pretty well for the Pirates last year. The left-handed hitting first baseman who they claim can play some corner outfield. But again, it's not a guy that's going to start, even if he makes the big club. Not going to start a lot of games, and he's another one that would do the exact same thing that Burleson does. And it's like I was joking yesterday on the show. It's like all we heard for the longest time is like, well, we've got to alleviate these log jams. Some of our younger guys need to play, and so we can't afford to have these log jams. We can't have these log jams. And it's you're just, it looks like you're putting another one together. I don't understand it, man. I just don't understand it. I don't know. Go.
Yeah. Part of me wonders is Nolan Gorman's persistent back issue going to force him to DH a little more than usual, and that's going to further, kind of complicate matters along those lines. So, I get worried about the crowded roster in terms of position players having redundant roles and that kind of thing. And as you touched on, the Carpenter edition doesn't ease any of those concerns by any means.
Dayn Perry with us here on the Bernie Show. One thing I definitely wanted to talk to you about, and again, you definitely have to subscribe to Birdie Work, and Dayn can give you more info on that, which we'll do before we say goodbye for the day. Are you surprised by so much conversation this offseason, not only from Marmol, but Mozeliak, the media, including me? There's been so much written and said about clubhouse culture, leadership. They cited that as an important factor why they're bringing Carpenter back. And listen, they clearly had some problems down there last year, maybe worse than we all knew. Right. But are they going a little overboard on this? Because there's almost been like an obsession over this one area. And, makes me wonder, well, just how bad was it? And what does it mean? Or are they going to overcorrect it? I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, it all just, I can't speak to legitimacy of those concerns. I'm not in the clubhouse. I don't know. But it all feels just a little weird to me that this was, if it is this big of an issue, how did they not foresee it being an issue? And, along similar lines, you kind of read these reports about, Arenado and Goldschmidt being uncomfortable with leadership roles and kind of requesting that Carpenter be brought on for that. That really, Goldschmidt and Arenado are not, capable of providing clubhouse leadership at a level that's desired there. It all just feels a little weird and reactive to me, and I don't know if this is all just sort of a spin campaign to justify bringing on Carpenter. I don't have any idea, but it's some of the stories coming out recently have just been kind of strange, and I I guess I take them at the word that it was an issue when they were addressing it, but it just seems strange that it was allowed to be an issue for that long. I don't know. It's just strange, as I've said.
One more question for Dayn Perry here on the Bernie Show today, and Ann Killian coming up a little bit after 4 o'clock to talk about the 49ers and the Super Bowl and some other things. What do you make of Ali Marmol, going into spring training without a contract? Not that precludes the possibility of an extension, early in the season or halfway through the season or whatever. But, with Molina around and Descalso's the bench coach, they both have ambitions of being a big league manager. I talked to Ali about this one-on-one. He is adamant that he wants this. He embraces it. He pushed for it. He doesn't feel threatened. He said that would be the worst possible attitude I could have, and I'm not a paranoid guy, and I'm not going to start acting like it now. I'm totally cool with all this. I wanted those two guys. Now, I just said that he made a convincing pitch to me about that, but I would be lying if I also said, well, that's it then. I'm 100% I believe him. I still think this could be a bit of a tangled web. I don't know. I still have some reservations about it in terms of what effect it might have on him as a manager. Yeah,
it's awkward at the very least. But, kind of what I tell myself is that, Marmol, I'm not saying he's on the hot seat, but as you mentioned last year of his contract coming off, the worst season in 30 years or something in Cardinals history, and there is absolutely pressure on him. And it may take a playoff berth to fetch him a new contract. I don't know. I'm not pretending to be privy to anything along those lines. But, there's strong incentive for him to build the best staff possible and have his staff address weaknesses that were apparent last season. Right. Descalso is sort of the player-to-manager liaison as one of the bench coach roles. Maybe that addresses some of those leadership in the clubhouse issues we were talking about earlier. Catching was an issue last year with Contreras and some of the grousing from the rotation, all that. Maybe Molina's presence, even though it's, probably not going to be on a day-to-day basis, helps that somewhat. I think Marmol has reasons to think those moves, even though there is some awkwardness there and it gives rise to speculation about his future, that gives him the best possible to guide a winning team in 2024. So I'm kind of like you. I see both sides of it, but I tend to think that the lead motivator for Marmol right now is building the best staff and team as possible so as to earn him that next contract.
Yeah, that's well said. Very well said by our friend Dayn Perry of CBSSports.com and also Substack, the Birdie Work blog. Sorry, I'm having a hard time today. Let me ask you this before we go. What's the best way for people to get a look at Birdie Work and also to subscribe to Birdie Work and also be available to participate in those group discussions on Slack and all and your mailbag pieces that you write from your subscribers, questions submitted by your subscribers? It's really great stuff. You do a wonderful job with that too. So what's the best way for our listeners who are interested to get involved?
I appreciate all those kind words. Absolutely. As you mentioned, sure. Birdie Work, Google it, Birdy Work, 2 words there, and it should take you right to it. It's on the Substack platform, which are subscription newsletters, and mine is available for $5 a week, which is $5 a month. Let me stress month, which is the cheapest Substack would allow me to charge on a recurring basis, or you can get a discount on that at $36 a year. I have 1 or 2 new pieces each week, all about the Cardinals, analysis, personal essays, all that sort of thing. And, it's a team I've loved since I was 7 years old, and I'm in my 50s now, so I have quite a bit of tenure on that front. And, I enjoy writing about them and interacting with fans and readers in that Slack channel we mentioned. So I encourage everybody to give it a read and come along for the ride.
Dayn, absolutely. I love it, and I give a heartily endorse it to our listeners. And it's a bargain price. It totally is. So listen, until we talk again, be well, and I'll be looking forward. Well, I always read you on CBSSports.com too, the whole staff there. But I'll be looking for your next Birdie Work, and that'll be coming soon. So thank you, man.
Thank you, Bernie.
See you, buddy. That's our friend Dayn Perry. We're fans of Dayn Perry here on the Bernie Show.